Hi, I'm Andrew Baxter. I finished school in 1985 and I'm the chairman of Publicis Communications. Yeah, I remember early January, getting a letter from Michael Aikman asking me to be one of the prefects. It was a pretty amazing moment. You were never quite sure whether you were gonna make that group. I think back then we had about 10 or 15 prefects, and I look back on that group that were in that prefect study that year, and it was an amazing group of people who since they've left school have all done amazing things. Look, in terms of a career, I wasn't quite sure what to do, and I realised after first year uni that doing accounting wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, and the marketing side was. And I popped out of finishing and graduating in marketing at the end of 1990. I was lucky enough to get a job at Gillette. The more I did sales type roles in there, the more I realised marketing was what I wanted to do, but it was an incredible experience learning the sales side. And it's the time I don't regret doing, because it actually taught me a huge amount about being out there with the customer. Just when that move was about to happen, I got a phone call from my cousin, who I was sharing a house with at the time. He and I are the same age, and he'd been working for one of the advertising agencies, and they'd won the Nintendo account. And he said, "Oh mate, you should go for the account manager's job. You'd be fantastic at that." And I went for that job, and that first agency role was with a company called Young and Rubicam. They were one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world, New York based. I had an incredible boss who had run other agencies, so what a great mentor to have sitting in rooms. But I remember about a year in, he said to me, "You don't say much in meetings." And I said, "That's because every time I go to say something, you've already said it. I'm 25 years old and you're 45 and had all this experience." He goes, "From now on, I'm going to shut up and not say anything in meetings, and I want you to talk." And to his credit, he did that. It was a great learning for me. But it gave me a lot of confidence that I was A, in the right industry, but B, that the way I thought strategically about things, I was going in the right direction. Some of the best campaigns I've been involved in, some of them go back to the early days when you're really, really hands-on. You talk about Chupa Chups campaigns that we did in the mid-90s that overnight turned into one of the coolest products to have sticking out of your mouth, and that was the power of what advertising can do. And Nintendo, similarly, we remember the launch of Nintendo 64 in 1997, and we had Tim Ferguson, the character, sort of replicating the 3D nature and trying to do what the game did. They were great fun campaigns. Things like Rhonda and Gatut for Amy. I remember the guys talking about the brief between Amy and the agency at Ogilvy had figured out that all the products within insurance had strange names, comprehensive car insurance. No one really understood what they meant. So they'd come up with a new product that was going to be called Safe Drivers Reward, because we should reward safe drivers. And they then started to turn Rhonda into almost a soap opera, because the next part of the campaign had to highlight how much money you'd save by moving to Amy. And so all of a sudden, Rhonda was in Bali.
You look so hot today, like a sunrise.
You're naughty.
There was others when I remember moving back to Ogilvy, Sydney in 2011 to take over as the national CEO, and the guys in Sydney office had just presented the idea that became Share a Coke. And that's now run in 80 countries around the world, and one of the most successful campaigns Coca-Cola's ever run. And they presented it, the client loved it, but the ability to, what I would call, keep that campaign sold was the difficulty that the team then had. I mean, what do you mean we're not going to have a Coca-Cola logo on the can for a period of time? The whole thing at any point in time over 5 months could have fallen over, and to the team's credit, they kept that sold, and it became, again, one of the most famous campaigns in the world. In end of 2013, I got a call from Publicis out of the blue, and I think at the time Ogilvy was probably the number one agency in the country. Publicis was maybe number 3. But the people I met were incredibly inspiring people, and after 10 years at Ogilvy, I felt, well, maybe this is an opportunity to challenge myself again and prove that you can go again in a different manner. So that was tough. I think the emotional side of leaving clients you'd worked with for a long time and to step into uncharted waters with a new team that I'd have to build was emotionally a tough decision. But I think the rational side of it was, what a great opportunity. Greatest strength from a management style, I think, honest, down to earth, but being who you are. I mean, there's no point in business being anybody other than yourself. And I think, that's a great lesson for a lot of people. I think being resilient, when we pitch for for new accounts and big accounts, there might be 10 agencies involved, get shortlisted to 5, you're down to the last 3, you're in some sort of creative shootout. You win some, you lose some, because there's so many great ad agencies in this country. So, that sense of resilience is incredible. You learn a lot of that from school and from sport. One thing I have learnt, and I learned it through coaching footy at a reasonably senior level, is to surround yourself with people that think differently to you. The minute you think you know everything, you're gone. You can't surround yourself with yes people. I want 5 different opinions on something, and then we'll pick one that we think's right. It doesn't mean making an instant decision. Sometimes a patient decision is a stronger decision. My 2 philosophies I often give out are, 1, stress is a waste of time and energy, and 2, don't make the same mistake twice. Everyone makes mistakes. It's fine to make one. I think this country is annoyingly bad at the tall poppy thing, waiting for someone to make one mistake. In Silicon Valley, people make 20 mistakes before they become successful. In this country, we want to knock people down when they make one. I think one thing I can really, really thank Haileybury for is they taught us to be incredibly productive. Because I did do sport after school, orchestra one night, maybe the school play as well, you were constantly doing things. And then at the same time, I was usually down at my local athletics club doing training for them. So you had to get the work done. A big part of what we do in marketing is understanding consumers. And if you're not out there talking to people, that's the minute that you lose that intuition for great marketing and great advertising. I think the connection from the school when you left, it was extremely strong. We'd had this incredible year group of guys that went through together. And even to this day, I still love the connection to the school. I still go back and do different things, and happy to talk to young kids coming through who want marketing and advertising careers. So look, I think that connection as you left school for me was an extremely strong one.